and Vicky Ortiz for setting up the facilities here and making them available to us today. So thank you very much. All right. As we're getting started, we're going to start with a prayer, and then we're going to move to the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll go into the introductions of folks. So with that, I'd like to introduce House Minority Leader Tom Sawyer to give our prayer for us.
Representative Sawyer, can you use a microphone?
I will try to use a microphone. Is it working? All right. All right, let's be in an attitude of prayer. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this meeting today. We ask for your blessing on our proceedings. We're thankful for the people here today. Please guide them as they give our testimony to us today. Dear God, we're thankful for the five meetings we've completed so far, and ask for your blessing and safe passage on the long road to Hutch tonight for meeting number 7 tomorrow. In your great name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States, to the republic, one nation, indivisible, with justice for all.
Now you
Back, right? That's what you do.
All right, again, there, okay, hello, all right. Again, I want to thank you all for being here today. Excited to hear from the public on your thoughts on your community. And, you know, as we came in, there was a sign-up sheet right now. I have 5. If you haven't had a chance to sign up, I'll be glad to have, to leave it open a little longer. In addition, at the end, if you're wanting some more information, there'll be some sign-up sheets outside. Again, this is a listening tour for the committee, for the body, to hear from you about what's important to you about your community in this area, and what we should be considering as we move through the process of looking at the lines. And I'd like to take, before we get really into it, I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce who's here. And we'll start off with introducing the Senate Redistricting Chair and Senate Vice President, Senator Rick Wilburn, and he'll introduce his team.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I am the chairman of the Senate Redistricting Committee. The president of the Senate, Tom Masterson, is the vice chair, and he's unable to attend this meeting. And to my left is Donna Sykes, the ranking minority leader of the Senate.
Thank you, sir. Again, I'm the chairman. I'm the chairperson of the House Redistricting Committee, and to my right is my vice chair for the House Redistricting Committee is Representative Brad Ralph. I think some of you might know him. Maybe not. If not, you need to meet him. And then to his right is the ranking ranking member for the House, Representative Tom Burrows. And then also I'd like to, I don't see the speaker, but I do see here, I'd like to acknowledge that who also gave us our prayer. Thank you, sir. But also acknowledge the House Minority Leader, Representative Tom Sawyer. And again, we'd like to really thank you all for being here today and being part of this. And what I want to do is turn it over right now to Representative Tom Burrows to also make a welcoming comment.
We haven't had a whole lot of luck with these things on the road, but let's see. Well, I'd like to express my appreciation to those of you that are joining us here this evening, online and in person. This is the 6th stop now for the committee, and each location is extremely important. Like many of you, the committee members want a fair and transparent redistricting process. Our compressed schedule this week is just beginning, and our task is monumental. The information and testimony shared here today by you may very well impact your community. Continue to let your voices be heard throughout this entire process. I want to say again, thank you for joining us, and please share your information.
Very good. Thank you, sir. And again, thank you to the audience, but also the committee members that are online. Many of them are doing multiple things, but we wanted to make this available to everybody to participate in this process. Again, this listening tour is for us to hear from you, as you've heard multiple times already. about your district as we go through. This is just being step one of the redistricting process. And again, our goal in this thing is to achieve exceptional transparency and public access. That's our goal. We're working towards that. We love to have your input as we go along. What you have to say is very, very important to us. We've asked that our state officials provide their comments at a later time so we can actually focus on what you all have to say. We are looking forward to becoming more familiar with your communities and hearing what you have to say and things that we should consider about drawing boundary lines and how to improve the process for everybody involved. Again, there was an online sheet to sign up, and we've had this sheet here. Did anybody else want to sign up now? Okay. For those willing, I'll give you, again, like I said, if anybody wants to speak, if a speaker is more comfortable speaking in another language, and that it would ensure the speaker's thoughts are more accurately portrayed, we encourage the speaker to use that language. We will have the comments transcribed and translated following today's meeting and provided to the committee members, the legislative body, and the public. We are also using closed caption here in the room and online. Now, if for some reason, if you'd like to have it translated here in the room so we can all hear, we have 2 volunteers that have been organized by the Hispanic Chamber of Kansas City. We have Carmen Valverde. She's at the back of the room. Thank you, ma'am. And Vicky Ortiz, who's also offered to volunteer if you need that. So thank you very much for being here. As was mentioned, this time around, redistricting is a little bit more difficult, a little more challenging just right now in this delay with the U.S. Census data. But by conducting this listening tour right now, it does provide us an opportunity to listen to what you have to say about your communities. What are the unique aspects and how things have changed over the last 10 years? What are the things about your community that we should think about when drawing boundary lines? Again, we welcome all comments on the overall process as well. So we've heard a lot already, but we want to keep listening to what you have to say. And this is just one step in a very long process that we're going to have our Kansas Legislative Research Department kind of cover for you right now, so you get an overview of where we're at in this process. And with that, I'll turn the microphone over to Jordan from the Research Department. Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, my name is Jordan Milholland. I'm the Senior Research Analyst with the Kansas Legislative Research Department. This evening, I'll be providing an overview of the census and redistricting process. So to begin with census preparation, some part of the census is constantly happening. Redistricting is part of that cycle. Federal law requires the states have the opportunity to participate in census preparation and
turn it on at the transport. Did you turn that on?
Box.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've got it back on. So to start, just over on the information I just started covering. So states are required to participate in the census data program to get data for certain areas of the state. Participating in the program allows the state to specify small geographic areas such as precincts and to receive population totals for those smaller areas, and then those totals are used for redistricting. In Kansas, we participate through the Kansas Legislative Research Department. We're the nonpartisan entity through which the state participates, and we've been participating in the data program since 2015 for this current cycle. And then this cycle will end in the year 2025. The program is broken into 5 phases. Phase 1 is the block boundary suggestion project. Phase 2 is the voting district project. And in that phase, localities were able to specify changes to their voting district lines. And then phase 3 is delivery of the census data. As you can see there, we're expecting some data later this week, but it'll be in the legacy format. And so that format means that it takes a little bit more manipulation to get to the numbers. And then later in September, we're expecting the more user-friendly files to be delivered. And both sets will have the same information. Phase 4 is then confirmation of the boundaries that were established in redistricting. And then phase 5 is feedback. The next slide is some information on 2020 apportionment. So on Census Day of 2020, it's a count in time at that certain place in time. So we received the state total population from that date and time. And like I said, we'll receive the other information later. The state total population was 2,937,880, and that's good for a gain of 84,762 persons. And as I have up there, Kansas did not gain or lose its seat during this cycle. Next, I'd like to cover some information about the adjustment. So previously, Kansas was required to adjust that number for students in military. However, in 2019, the legislature passed a concurrent resolution, which was then added to, the language was added to the November 19 ballot and approved by voters. And that removed that requirement to make that adjustment. So whatever information we receive from the census, we'll be using that as part of the redistricting process without adjustment. Next, I'd like to cover some information about the 2022 session and the process. So each of these maps that'll be drawn, if they are made into bill form, the language will be converted to legal language that can be then amended. It'll be subject to the committee process. There'll be hearings and an opportunity to provide input on those bills. The legislature will propose, vote on, and approve congressional, Kansas House, Kansas Senate, and Kansas State Board of Education districts. And then similar to any other bill, the governor will have the opportunity to either sign, veto, or allow the bill to become law without signature. And then there's a third component. The Kansas Supreme Court is required to review and approve maps, the state maps. The next slide has a little bit more information about the process. So as I stated, these are bills, so it'll be published in the Kansas Register after the legislature passes a set of maps as bill form. The Attorney General is then required to petition the court to determine the validity of these maps, and the court would then have 30 days to enter judgment. If the court says the maps are valid, the process is complete until the next cycle. However, if the court determines the maps are invalid, they must be redrawn by the legislature. And then there are several steps listed here about the process of what would occur if that were the case. And that would repeat until the court determines the maps are valid. Next, I'd like to highlight some KLRD resources we have available for everyone. Currently, we have the 2012 reports up on our KLRD website. So for each of these maps that's subject to a technical review, there are a number of reports that are generated based on those maps. And you can access those on our website. And for this next cycle as well, we'll be posting those on the technical reviewed maps. And then finally, I just wanted to list some contact information for you all. So we have our office in the State House. You can phone our office directly. You can email our staff at redistricting@klrd.ks.gov, or you can visit our website for additional information. Mr. Chair, I believe that concludes my presentation.
Hey, Jordan, thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. All right, some of you have previously signed up and sent in more lengthy public comment as of yesterday. Those documents are in the inboxes of the committee members and are posted online on the legislative webpage for redistricting, which is ks.gov.org. If anyone wants to provide public comment later, please send comments to redistricting@klrd.ks.gov or to that website mentioned. The legislative website does provide some instructions for providing your comments, and we do ask that you can follow those. However, there is no cutoff time. Anytime you want to send it in, send it in. It's important that we hear from you. The vice chair, Representative Rao, will maintain a timer and will indicate with a card that your time remaining. They'll start with a 2-minute and go down to 1 minute, then 30 seconds, We just, this is to kind of give you an idea when to start wrapping up, and then at the very end, they'll have one that says, time's up. So please, we ask that you please honor that card and complete your comments. We are going to allocate 5 minutes per presenter. Again, a brief reminder, we have received several comments on the process, and we do appreciate the comments. And we could want to continue to receive those, but at the same time, we really want to hear from you about the community. And what are some of the things you want us to consider? How things have changed? Where you want to go with this? I just want us to have these things on our mind as we're going through. It's really important for us to hear from you. So with that, we're going to move on to our first presenter. And our first one is Miguel Coco. If you please come up.
The brown one is recycling. Hello, I'm Miguel Coco. I am the Ford County Democratic Party Vice Chair, and I'm here to talk to you about the redistricting process. And it is a sacred part of our democracy as much as it is as the right to vote. I grew up here in South Dodge City, which is in State Rep District 115. And most recently moved to North Dodge, which is in State District Rep 119. 119 encompasses North Dodge as well as Central Dodge. 115, where I grew up, on the other hand, encompasses South, as well as Mineola, Fowler, Meade, and various other smaller communities. My issue with this right now is, how could someone probably represent, say, District 115 if they're from Fowler and the community is completely different in South Dodge? And to give you a little back reference, Dodge City is one of the few minority majority communities. And I'm asking, how is it possible? And I don't think it is possible for someone from Fowler to properly represent Dodge City in such a way. So what I'm asking is, please consider in the redistricting process the community and what they have in common instead of population, because the people of Fowler and Meade have different needs compared to those in Dodge City. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly what we're looking for. Appreciate that. All right, our next speaker will be Debbie Cox. Welcome. And can you speak into the mic? It's hard. We got people online.
And to reiterate what you just said, I brought our
Just
map.
1 second. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Yes, ma'am.
So I brought the maps of the voting district this is the county's legislative district. As you can see, we have 117 in part of the county, 115 and 119. If you're looking at this, it looks like all of Dodge City is 119. It is not. When you drew the lines or did not draw the lines in 2012, it went to the court. The city of Dodge was chalked completely. I was told by the former clerk that the lines never crossed the river. They did. They always followed the outline of the city limits. They did not. So therefore, it created 5 precincts in Dodge City. Of those 5, 3 had no people living in. It divided townships. That we have a township that is over here that is in 119. The other one is in 117. We have people that don't know their legislators because they think that they are in, because they don't live in Dodge City, they feel like they're in a different legislative district, when in fact they are in the Dodge City legislative district. So I agree with him that someone from Fowler is definitely different than the people in Dodge City. When you consider drawing your lines, please clean this up. There was literally, when this was done, there was counties that the line was literally a shadow of the telephone line. So depending on what time of the day was where the legislators' line was. One was down the middle of a house. So depending on which side of the house you were on, That's what side your legislative district is. If you question this, contact your county clerks. They will be glad to show you their district maps, because this is not fun to put together when you guys don't do your jobs. To try to figure out, down here was literally a dry riverbed. We drove around for hours trying to figure this out. If we didn't have a good GIS person, we wouldn't have known. There's a little dot up here that you can barely see. He said, "Did you see that?" My GIS person. I said, "No." He said, "That is a culvert." Now, nobody's gonna live in a culvert for you guys. So how that was done, I don't know. This divided the township because this is our airport. It's split that. My precincts have to touch to be able to be one precinct. I have nobody living in this side. So Brad is representing cows. Probably not, because those in 115 or 119 or 115 or 117 are also representing cows. But I will leave this with you, Brad, if you want to come to my office and go over this. But see your county clerk, see what kind of a mess this was done in 2012.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next will be Edgar Pondo. Welcome. Yeah, please.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Okay, there we are. There we go. My name is Edgar Pondo, and I'll be speaking as a private citizen today. Although I will also disclose I am the current vice chair of the Kansas Democratic Party. Before I get started, I'd like to thank each one of the committee members that are here today. And a special thank you to Representative Brad Rao, Dodge City's own, and thank you for your involvement in this very important committee. So, I've had an opportunity to listen to and read the testimonies of nearly all of yesterday's meeting, right alongside you guys, but I got to listen at 2 times speed, so YouTube is really great for that. So I know that none of what I'm going to talk about today is going to be new to members of these committees. My comments can be boiled down to 3 things. First, the need for an open process that provides both transparency and access to citizens, so that citizens may learn about the committee's ideas for redistricting, and so those citizens are also able to comment upon those ideas. Second thing, the need to preserve some semblance of identity within districts while also reducing the geographical map of congressional districts as much as possible in order to maximize the elected officials' visibility within their respective districts. Third would be the need for the future adoption of an independent redistricting commission. On my first point, I do recognize that this committee appears to have responded to the public's wishes for a second round of meetings once the data has been released. I urge the members of these committees to follow through on at least the second round of community input, because I believe it is important for citizens to have the opportunity to comment after we have more information. I'll echo some earlier statements from citizens that you've heard from at other meetings, in that it's difficult to provide too much input to this or to these committees when we don't have any idea what the population demographics are even going to show. The opportunity to comment after the release of data and after both of the new maps are released, that's going to provide far more substance information. On my second point, about identity of district. The needs of Western Kansas are different than the needs of Sedgwick, Johnson, County, Douglas, and Wyandotte counties. Additionally, the land mass of the big bird is already enormous. Adding to that land mass likely to be inevitable, but maintaining some sort of a geographic minimization in mind when looking at redistricting just makes sense. Finally, my last point, I'm sure that it's obvious to everybody in this room, both in front of me and behind me, that the process of redistricting and politics, they're intertwined. It's inescapable. But I believe that to every extent possible, the politics of redistricting should be reduced. That's why I support adopting an independent commission for redistricting. Versions of these commissions exist in both Republican and Democratic majority states. Some go as far as to remove the task of redistricting from self-interested legislators and put it in the hands of private citizens. I believe that could be an important goal for citizens to support, but these commissions are not without their own issues. Regardless, I do believe that over the next decade, an independent commission can and should be explored for the next round of redistricting. Thanks once again to all of you on the committee, and safe travels as you guys continue going around the state.
Thank you. Okay, our next presenter will be, Waka Soto.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I don't have a whole lot to, more to add except what, the three other people ahead of me did. Just want to ask you to please consider the uniqueness of our communities, especially, the district in South Dodge, that, it's, conjunction with other communities that are very small and whose needs are very different. And that's all I have to say. Just keep it simple. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the next presenter is Kathleen Alonso.
My name is Kathleen Alonso and I'm from Liberal, Kansas. In my last year, I have become more aware of how politics work in our government. An elected official, by definition, is a person who is an official by virtue of an election and person in charge of public work or duty. To hold a public office position entails you with a position of authority or service involving responsibility to the public. A public official provides and sustains structural services essential to the welfare and acceptable quality of life for its citizens. An equitable quality of life for your constituents is at stake here. With lack of 2020 census data, how exactly do we as community members provide informative input? As much as we can all sit here and encourage you to remain nonpartisan, I think it's safe to say politics has steered clear past that. An independent commission should move forward with what is deemed a very delicate process in our government. I was notified of these meetings last Thursday and continued with my weekend duties. With back to school organizing, I felt the need to miss this meeting, but had a chance to view the clips of those before me. I noticed not a single person who reflected my skin color had spoken. I come from a family of immigrants, and if you know anything about Southwest Kansas, you know most of our towns are full of people who look like me. I bring up my color and heritage because for generations, my community has been marginalized and forgotten from big decisions like these. My community at this moment is just getting out of work to pick up their kids to spend a few hours with them before beating the sun tomorrow to do it all over again. They can't be here to testify for themselves about the very institutions that govern their day-to-day lives. This lack of organization and lack of public transparency does not provide the justice needed for all the constituents you serve, despite their color or heritage. I ask that you have more accessible town halls with language access to all needed after the 2020 census data is released and we as constituents have an adequate time to review this information. I ask you to uphold your responsibility to the public you serve. I ask you to listen to the pleas of Kansas to provide an equitable and fair representation of Kansas maps. Like the great Martin Luther King Jr. once said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes everybody that has signed up. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to make a public comment today? This is your opportunity. If you want to, please. Please, when you come up, just state your name. Thank you. There you go. Yes, sir.
My mistake. Did not come with a prepared speech. I intend to sit you back with my very large mouth shut and covered. But I want to say that I'm impressed. That's one of the things I want to end not just the committee that have showed up, well, the fact that we actually had a pretty darn good sized crowd to Dodge City. I'm impressed because, there are an awful lot of people who don't look like me who stood up to say something. And that's just something that I've been noticing for quite some time. I grew up here. And I'm 52 years old. I went to school here. Not in Dodge City, south of here. The graduating class of 17. This is a positive aspect of our community. I think we all should embrace it. And there are a great many people who do. You guys have picked that, received an awful lot of feedback for your timing, so on and so forth. This is at the beginning of the process. But you have seen a demonstration here today that we're listening. We're watching. We're going to show up. We're going to pay attention. I'm not going to say anything about the representation of cows. Or in southwest Kansas, we have meat packing plants. That is one of the major, if not the major, employer in the area. We live on cows. Here's my problem, and it's only a small problem. Well, I know enough about agriculture that, hey, I knew that that's not what I wanted to do. I graduated from high school at 17 and joined the Marine Corps. You get a who from them. Okay, I like them in their natural environment. That's steak on my plate. I don't like hurting them. I have. I don't like cutting them, which is different, and I have. No, I appreciate this. This is an economic mover back here. It's an international economic mover. Here in Southwest Kansas. What I ask you to do, really, take into consideration the fact that who are the people that are operating the meat packing plants and the feedlots? Who's cutting the feed that feeds the cattle in the feedlots? And most of that is grown around here. We are an agricultural state. I will please like everybody keep in mind that this is 2021. And 2022 is going to come, 2023, 24. Time will march on. The future is going to come. Insisting on rolling the clock back is counterproductive. Look at what we have, embrace it, and move forward. Thank you.
Sir, can you please state your name for everybody for this?
No worries. I'm from Buckland, Kansas. Say that again, Corey. My name is Corey Chapman. I'm from Buckland, Kansas.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. For your comment. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment? Please, sir, come on up. And again, just a reminder to state your name. I forgot last time.
Okay, my name's Joe Newsy. I'm from Dodge City, Kansas. First off, I want to thank you guys for making this trip and coming and talking to us all and letting us be a part of this. I also would like to say that I'd like you guys to take into account the growth that is happening here in Southwest Kansas. Cities are all booming. They're all doing pretty good. And over the next couple of years, we're going to be moving further north. We are moving further south as well too. So, but you know, in the next 5 years, we're going to have some real growth that we need to take that into account. If not, we're going to have to blur lines again. But more than anything, I just wanted to say thank you for your time and thank you for making this trip out of here.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to make comments? These are great comments. We appreciate it. Yes, please go ahead.
My name is Carmen Valverde and I'm here from Dodge City. And I was just going to also say thank you for being here and coming to listen to us. And just give a suggestion, kind of adding on to what she said. I would like to see more of our Hispanic community be here because we are a large part of it. So I don't know how you're able to market or put out there that you'll be here again if you do the second round, but maybe working with the large employers in the area where we know there are a lot of Hispanic employees, working with them and using not plainer, but simpler language when you're advertising. Because sometimes unless you're very deep in learning and involved you won't understand what you're asking of us. So if it can be simplified, distributed to the population you're trying to target, you might get some more of our Hispanic population here. Thank you.
Ross, thank you very much. Anyone else have some other comments? This has been great. Okay. So with that, that'll conclude the public comments. We want to thank you, and I'll tell you just the talk just right now around the table. This has been outstanding. Thank you all for so much for your comments. It's been very specific as we've asked for. You've given us something to consider as we're going through that process, and that is the goal that we're here for, is to try to create that public input access and, as you commented, some of that transparency we want to achieve. So thank you for that. This was the 6th in our stop of 14. We have a few more to go, and we're excited about that opportunity. This is not the only time for input, right? We've commented on that. You guys have commented. We're commenting on that. We are still working through what we're going to do between now and January. There are things that are going to happen. We know the data is going to come out. We know there's other things that are going to happen, but also recognize that in January, it was stated through research that that's when we begin the official process of producing maps and going through the process, having formal hearings and testimony. And there'll be another round of opportunities there as well as to provide your input. And so we just want to keep doing that. We're glad to hear what you had to say about your communities and how they've changed and what we're seeing going, and we want to take that into consideration. Do understand that you could always submit input. Okay, you can always submit input online or through the email, which is redistricting@klrd.ks.gov, and or the website. And I failed to mention that we did have one written testimony from Martha Tahara from Kansas Appleseed. Is Martha here? Did you want to comment? Or are you good? You good? Okay. Again, we want to thank you to the library and all the opportunity for setting up here. We want to thank you guys for being here today. And this has just been really powerful. I mean, yeah, let's give you guys a round of applause. Yeah. And then there will be a few of us staying around for a little while afterwards. If you want to make some other comments, we appreciate that. Our next stop is in Hutchinson, and we'll begin tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thank you all. That we are adjourned.
Be careful, it's raining. All right.